What's up, everyone, and welcome to ClearTalk. So, in this video, we're going to talk about Joe Biden and the Supreme Court reforms uh, that he has put out there. He did Monday. So, we're going to go over what those are um, and kind of lay that out. What I think about them. Do I think they even have a chance, of anything happening? Um, with them. Yeah, so that's what we're going to talk about. All right, so if you like this content, please consider subscribing and like, comment, share, all that good stuff. Let me know what you think about the video. And without further ado, um, yes, we had Monday. Let me pull this up. This is in CNN. Um, I just quickly pulled this up. They got a pretty good breakdown of it. Um, President Joe Biden called for major Supreme Court reforms Monday, a long shot move that would make him the first sitting president in generations to back seismic changes to the way the nation's highest court operates. I have great respect for our institutions and the separation of powers laid out in our Constitution, Biden said Monday in Austin, Texas. But what's happening now is not consistent with that doctrine of separation of powers. Biden's proposals, a constitutional amendment stripping the president of immunity for crimes committed while in office, term limits for Supreme Court justices, and a binding code of conduct for the High Court, stand little chance of going anywhere with a divided Congress, which is true. But they serve as an election year message designed to excite the Democratic progressive base. Um, Vice President Kamala Harris, which is the presumptive nominee at the moment, quickly endorsed the proposal changes, which come at a time deeply unpopular for the High Court. Biden's announcements, which he made at an event commemorating the Civil Rights Act, followed this month's monumental decision by the Supreme Court granting presidents full immunity for some actions taken while in office. And after a tide of revelations about justices accepting vacations and gifts from wealthy conservative donors. So yes, one big issue, we just had the thing come down from the Supreme Court on the Trump immunity case, basically granting immunity to presidents. Um, I mean, it was a pretty ridiculous ruling, and what eventually helped um, convince the judge over the documents case in Florida, who was already, a staunch, like, Trump fan and supporter, and she, because of that, she pretty much turned around and threw the case out, uh, which he now is claiming that he won. Uh, but anyways, so yes, that is one issue. So he's pretty much like doing a reform. He's wanting to have a congressional amendment made to the Constitution, basically amending, saying that that there's no president has full immunity, basically, um, and for their actions done in the office, like and then of course the Supreme Court issue here, where there's justices have been accepting vacations and gifts from wealthy conservative donors. That's been an issue going on for a while. That falls in line with the code of conduct, and the term limits issue with Supreme Court justices, and because there has been several justices that have been found to have been accepting vacations and gifts and everything, and cases coming before them where they had a personal connection to some kind of way, but refusing to recuse themselves from the case, listening to the case and judging on the case. There's been several instances of that, and it's all because the Supreme Court does not have a code of conduct. Um, it's the only court in the entire country that does not have a code of conduct. Uh, why, I do not know. That's absolutely ridiculous. Every single other court in the country has a code of conduct, but the Supreme Court. And when this came up not too long back, the Supreme Court justices claimed to have kind of tried to put together their own like code of conduct, like their little own little version that they would try to abide by. Um, complete horseshit. Um, so Biden is trying to make an official code of conduct. That's what he's trying to, or he's putting forward, at least rhetorically. Um, so yes, Democrats have frequently pointed to the Supreme Court's conservative majority, which was solidified by Trump, to underscore what they see as a high stakes in the election. See, blah, 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 blah. In recent years, extreme opinions that the Supreme Court has handed down have undermined long established civil rights principles and protections, obviously talking about Roe v. Wade, by instead listing a litany of recent cases, including the decision overthrowing Roe v. Wade and this month's immunity decision. No one is above the law, Biden said, adding that for all practical purposes, the recent ruling would allow a president to flout the law and face no consequences. Biden is calling for an amendment dubbed the No One is Above the Law Amendment, which will state this kind of a silly name, but which will state the Constitution does not confer any immunity from federal criminal indictment, trial, conviction, or sentencing by virtue of previously serving as president. I share our founders' beliefs that the president must answer to the law, Biden said. Trump criticized Biden's call for reforms, saying on Fox News on Monday he desperately wants immunity. There's no way he would write off immunity for a president. Is that what he really said? Trump, really? He's quite literally trying to have an amendment done to prevent immunity, which means he wants immunity. There's no way he would write off immunity for a president. Okay. And what would be another major change, Biden also called for term limits for Supreme Court justices who serve lifetime appointments. That move, Biden said, would make the timing for the nomination process more predictable and less arbitrary. The reform Biden is proposing would require congressional approval, which would be difficult to achieve before his term ends, as Republicans control the House and Democrats have a slight majority in the Senate. The Constitutional Amendment, meanwhile, would require a more complicated process involving the states that seems nearly impossible to succeed. Yes, a constitutional amendment is a very hard process. I do not completely understand it. I don't even partially understand it. But it is a very hard process that would take a while. And was supposed to involve the states as well. And I don't know to what extent, but yeah. Ahead of Biden's announcement, White House officials acknowledged the reform package faced an uphill battle, declining to gaggle with reporters. Believes the proposal is realistic. Will require some type of legislative action, but he struck a hopeful tone that the voters would be able to sway their representatives in Congress. Well, I don't know. Biden's proposal drew sharp and swift pushback from Republicans, including House Speaker Mike Johnson. Johnson said the proposal would go nowhere in the House, assuming Republicans retain control of the chamber next year. It is telling that Democrats want to change the system that has guided our nation since its founding simply because they disagree with some of the court's recent decisions. Johnson said this dangerous gambit of Biden-Harris administration is dead on arrival in the House. Biden responded to Johnson's assertion during this remarks, saying he believed the speaker's thinking is dead on arrival. That's kind of funny. His old ass still has some cracks in him. No pun intended. Senate Majority Mitch McConnell said the Supreme Court is under attack. In a speech in the Senate floor Monday, called for Biden and Harris to accept rulings from the court instead of responding with a full scheduled attack on the justices who ruled against them. You know, if this thing is so dead on arrival and there's no issue, then why make a big deal about it? Why are you hooping and hollering about it? If it's not a big deal, then you should simply say it's not happening. Like, why it makes such a big deal out of stuff. So yes, anyways. What they're pretty much trying to do is the immunity for crimes, presidential immunity, stripping away the immunity for crimes committed while in office. Okay, so that's pretty much doing away with the Supreme Court's decision that they just recently made. And then, of course, the term limits on the Supreme Court justices, that is 18-year term limits. Not good enough in my opinion. That's way too damn long. 18 years, that's... now, granted, we have some on there that have served way more than that already. But 18 years is still way too much. I've heard somebody earlier say 10 would be way more. I think 10 is too much. I would say at the very most 8. That's my opinion. That'd be like 2 terms of a president in office. If a president shouldn't serve but 4 and count max of 8, then Supreme Court shouldn't be more than 8. I say 8 years and you're out. Put somebody else in. But in this one, it's 18 years, 18-year terms, and the president every 2 years will get to put another justice, elect another justice to the court. Or whatever, you know what I mean? And then the binding code of conduct, which in my opinion is probably the biggest thing. Yeah, the term limits helps. 18 years is too much, but the code of conduct is the biggest thing. Because between the constant briberies and everything, like the justices currently are paid off. They're paid off by wealthy donors to put through legislation and stuff, or rulings that benefit them. They then, any connections they have to them, Wall Street or any company or whatever, they then are not recusing themselves. That's a hard word to say for me. Recusing themselves from a decision or that's brought before them when they are in conflict. This is code of conduct 101. Any company that you work for, this is simple stuff. If there's a conflict of interest, you are supposed to exit from it. I mean, pull yourself away from it. This is this is not hard. I don't know why the Supreme Court has gone all this time not having one. Uh, that's just ridiculous. So yes, that is, in my opinion, the absolute most important one. Um, and probably, in my opinion, the easiest one to set. Uh, Actually, the term limits shouldn't be really be that hard to set either. The immunity thing, that having to have a like full on amendment, that process is going to be hard and likely will not happen. Um, but yeah, I do agree with it though. A president should not have immunity. Um, you know, if you want to argue while they're in office, fine. But once they're out of office, if they've done something that was illegal, they should be able to be brought up on charges. Point blank. There should be no immunity. Um, I don't care. Uh, they shouldn't be above the law. I agree when Biden says that, whether he actually believes it or not. I agree with it. They should not be above the law. They shouldn't be able to get in there and think that they can do whatever they want, and there not be any type of like uh, you know, any type of repercussions from it. So, and that's just me. That's I know, and a lot of other people believe that too. Uh, so I'm completely behind that, and that would keep presidents in line. That would keep them from doing silly shit that they shouldn't be doing. I mean, don't you think? Right? If they know they can get in trouble and can see, behind prison cells, maybe they won't do all the crazy stuff that they do sometimes, war crimes and everything else. And I'm including Biden in this. Like, quite frankly, he's a war criminal, in my opinion, at this point. I would have no problem with, after his presidency, rested for all the stuff happening, whatever. Like, I have no problem with it. Just like with Trump, charges, full stop. You know, go before court. If court decides that you're guilty, you're guilty. Period. I don't care. And they could take that back as long as they want, as far as they want. Clinton, Obama, uh, Bush. I mean, I don't care. All of them. Charge them all because they all did it. They were all behind uh, war crimes. So yeah, I don't have a problem with it. Um, yeah, term limits, they should be shorter. 18 years is not long enough. I mean, it's not short enough. I would say 8. Certainly no more than 10, but 8 is my where I would prefer C. And most certainly a code of conduct. That should have been set from day one. Um, but whether any of it will happen, I don't know. Well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. What you think about this? Let me know in the comments. This is a short one, sort of. uh, Thank you very much, and yeah, consider subscribing, like, comment, all that good stuff. Let me know what you think. Do you think that these things are good? Um, one, two, all three, none of them? Do you think they have a chance? Do you think this is just a political kind of ploy to sound good? Uh, campaign just sort of thing? Probably, but it at least gets the talk going. Kamala has endorsed it. Maybe she would, if she's taking, I think she's even talking about it on the road. If she's, taking it on with her campaign, and as talking point for her, becoming president, then sure, okay, no problem. And I'll hold you to it, along with a lot of other people. Um, so, anyways, all right. Thank you very much for joining me. Until next time, peace. Clear Talk. I'm out.